was January of 2016. My buddies and I live right next to a nature preserve and used to love to explore it. It was a weekend and we were looking for something to do, and being mischievous, we decided to go explore the storm drain that supplied water to the creek in the nature preserve. It had a barred barricade blocking entry into it, so we decided we'd throw some rocks in to see if the rocks made contact at any point so we could figure out the depth. However, we received something much more in return. After throwing a rock against the wall in the storm drain, a couple seconds passed, and we heard a terrifying thump or bang in return.
What the hell?
Dusk was approaching, so we called it a day and watched back over the video we recorded of it. The next weekend, I gathered a few more buddies, and we decided we would unbolt the barricade to the drain and go inside. I got the barricade to fall down, and we made our entrance. It went in about 20 feet until it hit a dead end. However, there was a second branch of the drain to our left that we'd have to take a step up to get into. We proceeded in one by one, all 5 of us. At first, it was nothing but spider webs and mud. We traveled about 500 to 1,000 feet into the drain as it kept getting skinnier, and we had to duck to proceed. We were all frozen in our tracks as we heard the same exact thump we heard the weekend before. A scary and hard to describe sound. We had no signal and were beyond terrified at that point because we were all right next to each other and the noise had come from much further away. At this point, my friend decided to start recording in case anything else happened. We made it out of the drain safely without anything else happening. The scariest and most chilling part of this whole story was when I reviewed the video and saw a slight outline of a head at one of the turns of the drain. This couldn't possibly have been one of us because we had all been together. I took a screenshot of it and zoomed in as far as I could, and well, I was horrified. There in the frame was a demon-shaped looking head with glowing eyes and what appeared to be pointy ears. To this day, we have never gone back into that nature preserve, let alone the storm drain. It all started when a group of friends and I decided to start exploring abandoned warehouses due to the stories and myths surrounding them in our hometown, Laredo, Texas. The story surrounding the area of warehouses was that the buildings were haunted due to immigrant workers being worked and mistreated to death. The local news covered the death of many of the workers. Many of the deaths were also ignored by the authorities due to the illegal status of the workers. In the warehouse that we visited, the company was in charge of the maintenance of the railroad tracks as well as the disposing of hazardous material. In the video I recorded, the barrels filled with chemical wastes are seen spilled open. The warehouses are located in a part of town where there's nothing really around except for train tracks. The predominantly Hispanic culture of my city gave rise to the stories about railroad workers that had lost their lives in the area. We decided to explore the warehouse during the day and then during the night. On our daytime exploration, we found remains of what seemed to be remnants of satanic rituals because we found a chicken's foot and pentagrams drawn in permanent marker. We figured that was the work of local groups trying to communicate with the damned souls of the workers. We also spotted a makeshift couch or bed where the workers would sleep. The night we visited, we had the feeling we were being watched. We were actually also being followed and attacked by crows inside the building.
Oh, no, there. ¿Qué son?
While we were exploring that night, on several occasions, we spotted shadows and heard noises throughout the area. As we delved deeper, we got the feeling that someone or something didn't want us in the warehouse. A creepy laugh can be heard in the video footage I captured, and that was our cue to get the hell out.
Nada, I don't think there's no power.
Oh my god. Did you hear that?
Yeah. Let's just get out of here.
Things only got weirder though, as the satanic drawings and the chicken foot were gone the next time we passed that spot, yet they were spotted only earlier that day. I'm completely convinced that someone or something was stalking us in that warehouse that night. I believe the lost souls of the workers, or a satanic group of people that frequented the place, were there that night with us, watching. As we walked out of the warehouse, we noticed that the crows were very on edge and tried to attack us, like I mentioned earlier. The events that happened that night still sometimes keep me up at night. I'm a freshman at the University of Nebraska-Lincoln. Some friends of mine came home from a hockey party after their game and asked me to come hang at their dorm. They brought some girls to the party that they knew from high school and happened to be in the city. They came back to the dorm to hang as well. One of the girls that came in was super friendly but very drunk. I didn't see her drink anything in the dorms. I left with my girlfriend at about 2 a.m. At around 3, I heard sirens and could see lights outside of my window. I figured it was just another kid that came home with alcohol poisoning. Then I heard the most gut-wrenching scream of my life. I walked out of my room and saw my friends from the dorm I had just left running down the hall wanting my help. I started running down the hall following them and saw blood on the floor and thought for sure someone had been stabbed. Then I saw 3 police officers and a paramedic team strapping the friendly girl down to a stretcher while she was screaming and thrashing. I went to ask my friends what happened and they looked exhausted. They said her eyes rolled back into her head, she started growling and bleeding heavily from both nostrils. She attacked some of our friends, yanking their hair and biting them like an animal. This girl fought off 3 6-foot-tall, fairly muscular guys by herself. Keep in mind, this girl is probably 5'1", 110 pounds, and was possessing superhuman strength, all while screaming at the top of her lungs. The scariest part is when the RA came over to pray over the situation, as he's a devoted Christian, and she started screaming, "F God, F Jesus, the devil is coming for you all." At this point, my heart was sinking in pure fear of the situation, as was everyone else who was present. The emergency responders said they had never seen anything like this, even if she was possibly drugged at the party. I was able to capture a roughly 20-second video of her screaming in the dorms. You can't really see her as the paramedics are in the way, but if you listen closely towards the end of the video, you can hear her scream, "They're coming for you all, they're coming for you next." Last I heard, she woke up with no memory of the situation, but is in a very dark place at the moment. This is the video that was captured. In my small town, there's not much to do, so my friends and I make the best of it. And in the winter, we sometimes throw snowballs at cars. This was after we got done ice fishing one day. We went to my house and decided it would be fun to throw snowballs at cars for a while. Usually no one would get too angry as they were just snowballs, but one person got really mad at us. My friend Drake decided to throw a snowball at one more car and he told me to record. He hit right under the back passenger side. It sounded like a hard hit. We stayed there for a second, laughing, until he slowed down and eventually threw it in reverse.
Yeah. Go, sit there. He's right there.
We ran and hid behind a car in a different parking lot, and he pulled in about 5 feet from us, but he didn't see us. So we ran home, and that's when I stopped recording. When we got home, we took off our jackets and sat down to watch the video I just took, but we were interrupted by this sound. I froze in my seat. Then again. I didn't think this guy would find us, but still I turned off the lights. My dogs went crazy. Drake and I are 14, we don't get scared that easily, but this was freaking us out. We hid in my bathroom in my room and turned off the light. We actually laughed, thinking he would leave in a couple minutes. Our friends thought we were joking, so we took videos of him still pounding on the door. Our friends thought it was funny and karma, but we didn't find it amusing anymore. We thought we were in danger because he wouldn't leave. So I called my mom, who was at the Walmart about 10 minutes away. She sounded more like she was angry at us for throwing snowballs at cars than concerned that someone was banging on the door. She said she would call one of the neighbors to come scare him off. Then she hung up. It felt like an eternity before he stopped banging on the front door, but only a couple minutes passed, and then the banging sounds came from a different door. Then it hit me that I didn't lock that door, and he could easily come in. Then I got a disturbing call from my mom, telling me one of the neighbors said she could see a deranged-looking man, possibly drugged out, looking through my room's window and the front door window. We sat there for as long as we could and decided to make a plan to get the 410 shotgun in my mom's room, loaded, and then make a break for it. But when we entered my mom's room to look for the gun, we saw his face at the window. His hairy, withered-looking face, and we screamed and ran. Drake had the idea to blast a police siren sound on my speaker in my room, so we ran to set the speaker up. While doing so, we heard the back door open, the one which was left unlocked. Drake managed to get the siren sound effect to play on my speaker, and that apparently worked, as we heard him leave through the same door he entered. Moments later, one of the neighbors, Paul, rang the doorbell. I let him inside and he stayed with us and waited for the cops and my mom to get there. We explained everything. The cops and my mom all said we shouldn't have been throwing snowballs at cars like that, obviously, and that we got lucky that they showed up when they did. My advice is to never mess with people like we did. You never know who you're dealing with.